This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous good-looking friends. So the saga continues. After yesterday's New York Post article indicating that sources are saying that no, the letter that was written for the court case doesn't have anybody that they have in focus to arrest, as there wasn't enough evidence, we now have, coming out of California from the Daily Beast, all of a sudden, magically, the actual letter that was submitted to the court and referenced in Harry's court case. I think we know where they got this letter from, so let's take a look at it closer. Does it surprise anyone that this is a narrative that they're trying to force down people's throats? These two just can't let it go. Because New York City doesn't believe them, and we still don't believe them, they're going to continue to keep forcing this narrative, and they are using this one detail that was mentioned in this court case to saturate the media through all of Meghan's propaganda outlets, pushing these lies. As you can see, we have Entertainment Tonight, we have Us Weekly, we have, who else do we have? I mean, you name it. It's the same usual suspects that have been lying to the American public for the last couple of years. So am I surprised to see them pushing hard on this one point, but not highlighting the fact that the justice didn't care if paparazzi were following them around to get their picture? Because in his ruling, he states that the paparazzi didn't show any kind of ill intent towards them, and that wasn't grounds to give back their security. And part of this scam are the mentally deranged sugars who are letting this run wild over X at the moment, saying, see, they were telling the truth. Who's shocked that Shouty Shola was activated to run this on her social media platform, but coincidentally decides not to speak out about African parks and the brutal abuse happening to the indigenous people? Yeah, we see where her bread is buttered. So let's take a look at this letter closer, because I want you to understand how the media manipulates you and how Meghan and Harry use words in order to twist a narrative in their favor. Thus, once it catches on fire, thus becoming the actual so-called intended truth or their truth. So this letter coming out of nowhere, posted on the Daily Beast, shows that it's printed on the City of New York letterhead from the NYPD, coming from the Chief of Intelligence, John B. Hart, who, by the way, is not the actual Chief of Intelligence. He's the Assistant Chief of Intelligence. So right there is something we should be questioning. Another thing that we should be questioning is that the date says December 6th. Well, during that window of time was when Harry's security case was going on. So this letter just magically pops out of nowhere to be submitted into evidence for his court case. But that date actually doesn't jive with the rest of this letter. So as it says here, Dear Chief Superintendent, the New York City Police Department wishes to make you aware of certain changes to the security posture that will be afforded to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in light of the security incident that took place on May 16, 2023 in New York City. We conducted a thorough review of the incident, and although no formal charges were brought against parties involved at the time, we did conclude that the behavior in question was reckless. As a result, and then this was redacted, beginning with an upcoming trip in the coming weeks. So pause right there. December 6, 2023 versus upcoming trip. The only upcoming trip that was scheduled for Meghan and Harry was in October. So right there, I feel like potentially maybe this was a letter that went to Meghan and Harry, and they went ahead and changed the date. And then this redaction that they have here could have shed light on other things that they didn't want us to see. However, let me continue on with my thought process. In addition to that, it says that we did conclude that the behavior in question was reckless. They don't say who was reckless. I'd like to remind you that Mayor Adams never once accused the paparazzi of being reckless. He just said overall, driving so fast with pedestrians on the street is reckless. And here's exactly what he said.
The briefing I received, Two of our officers could have been injured. I think all of us, I don't think there's many of us who don't recall how his mom died, and it would be horrific to lose an innocent bystander during a chase like this, and something to have happened to them as well. So I think we have to be extremely responsible. I thought that was a bit reckless and irresponsible. I would find it hard to believe that there was a 2-hour high-speed chase.
Putting two officers in danger, let's not forget that Harry and Meghan had issued a legal notice to Backgrid demanding they turn over their footage and photos of the incident, in which they fired back immediately with their lawyers, stating that the royals' own driver was the one who made the situation dangerous. And it was eyewitness stating that it was them who were driving recklessly. So could it have been Harry and Meghan security that were possibly going to be charged with speeding through stoplights and, driving erratically? Possibly, but you wouldn't know that from this letter because there were certain things that were redacted, which, in my humble opinion, probably would explain a little bit more who was in the right and wrong. But at this time, there really wasn't anyone to be arrested or called into question because they didn't have any evidence. So right there, the way that the media is spinning the news, calling the paparazzi reckless, is not true. In this first paragraph, it doesn't state who was being reckless. Looking into the second paragraph, it says, "For your awareness, we have briefly summarized the results of the incident below, and we were available to answer any questions you may have as a result." After conducting extensive interviews with the responding NYPD personnel, as well as additional individuals employed by a private security company, reviewing live video and still camera footage, and reviewing open source media, to include social media posts as well as documented media coverage, we found the following: reckless disregard of vehicle and traffic laws and persistently dangerous and unacceptable behavior on the part of the paparazzi during the night in question. The individuals operated vehicles, scooters, and bicycles in a manner that forced the security team, which included an NYPD lead car, to take evasive actions on several occasions and a circuitous route to avoid being struck by pursuing vehicles or trapped on side blocks. Our conclusion upon review with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is that we have sufficient evidence to arrest two individuals for reckless endangerment, and then the rest is blacked out. When you read this on the surface, you can draw your own conclusion in the direction that they are pushing everyone towards, with all these media articles stating that it was the paparazzi that were reckless. But nowhere in this letter does it say specifically that the paparazzi were being reckless. They say individuals. That includes Meghan and Harry's team. If you look at it from this perspective, the individuals operated vehicles. Yeah, the people that were driving were Meghan and Harry's people. The people that were on scooters and bicycles were the paparazzi. So you have to also include Meghan and Harry's people, and I do believe that they're included in this group. They too were being reckless, according to the witness statements from Backgrid. In any case, when they say their conclusion is that they have evidence to arrest two individuals for reckless endangerment, you can't assume that it's the paparazzi that they're talking about. They could very well be talking about Meghan and Harry being the ones who should be arrested for reckless endangerment because they're the ones that staged this. I'm just putting that out there. Also, is it possible that this letter was doctored? Absolutely. I mean, if there's any evidence that could direct towards that conclusion, is the date on this letter. The date on this letter does not jive with them saying, well, we are preparing, for their visit in upcoming weeks or making arrangements in the next upcoming weeks about it. So right there, you have a red flag that should be raised and it should be questioned. And the only way to verify the authenticity is to get the NYPD to validate it themselves. So this morning, I opened up another FOIL case in which I attached this letter that has been circulating around to get verification on if this is authentic. So as soon as I hear back from them, I definitely will share with everyone. But it's worth noting that in these FOIL cases that many people have submitted at the time when this fake car chase had been going on, all of them have been closed out with the exception of one, with the statement of no records could be found. So how could this letter state that there was footage that they looked at from the incident, but they're telling people that there was nothing that they had as evidence or any sort of information that they could? A few other things that I want to point out here is at the top where it says Chief Superintendent Richard Smith, OCU Operation Command Unit, Commander Royalty and Specialist Protection. I find it odd that they didn't redact Richard Smith's name. Normally, with this group of specialized VIP people who are taking care of the royal family, they normally redact their names from anything. And we saw this in the 52-page document that was released yesterday in the court judgment. So the question I have is, was this intentional or was this by accident that they didn't redact the name? Because interestingly enough, when it is addressed, it's not addressed Dear Chief Superintendent Richard Smith, it's just Dear Chief Superintendent, which is also odd in itself because it's not consistent. And a few other things that I raise as suspect regarding this letter is when you compare this to other NYPD letters that are written, there's a format that's normally followed, more or less. So at the top, normally it would say which department it's coming from. So whether it's the Office of Deputy Commissioner or from the legal department, it should say where it's coming from. Then, as I pointed out before, where it's in the salutation, they add the person's name to it to be consistent. Then you look at the actual formatting of it. The one that they included in the court case looks so sloppy and all over the place, meaning it's not tightened up, nor does it appear that the fonts look the same. I mean, it could be the same, and maybe my eyes are just sort of playing tricks on itself. But also on this particular stationery at the very bottom, each page says courtesy, professionalism, and respect. In addition, if there's anyone that's CC'd or blind copied, what have you, they would be mentioned at the bottom. So the question is, why was that part cut off, or was it cut off? Just putting those out there for you. But that's all I have regarding this. I am very suspicious of what I'm seeing here. It does look like there's some funny business going on, but we won't know until the NYPD gets back to me or gets back to someone regarding answering if this letter is truly legitimate and authentic. My gut reaction is no, it's not. I do think there's been some manipulation. And as you can see, I just laid out to you the possibilities to not point the finger at the paparazzi. I think this was all crafted to sell this narrative so Harry could get his security back. And that's the bottom line. But anyhow, what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.